Hi guys, we should be live. Can everyone hear me? Is everything okay?
Yep, good on my part.
Good, awesome. Welcome everyone for tuning in again to our AMA. Today we have with us a very special guest, Farhad, who's the COO of Angelic. Farhad, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks for having me. This is great. I love doing talking to gaming communities and everyone. So yeah, I personally just very quick intro of myself. I've been in the game industry for decades now. Um, Worked on different anything from AAA games to mobile games. I'm at this point the COO of Metaverse Game Studios, which is the company making Angelic. And yeah, that's a very brief intro about me. And would you like me to make an introduction to the game as well?
Yes, of course. Why don't we go straight into it then? Can you introduce to us, to the community, about what kind of game Angelic is? How does it play? Things like what platform is it built on? Genre, things like that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Angelic is basically a party-based narrative RPG and MMO combined. We're also utilizing some turn-based mechanics during battles. So it's a little bit of a combination genre.
Mm,
Uh, it's a dark sci-fi game. That means everything you see in game, all the characters, narrative players, factions, etc. They all have complex layers and tones.
okay.
It's not black and white. They all have their gray colors in some ways. And meaning depending on your perspective, good and bad guys can wildly differ. Our
Mm,
main focus was also integrating our community farther into the IP. That's why we call this a collaborative intellectual property project. That essentially,
interesting.
uh, yeah, it essentially means we'll be building the universe together. So, hence the importance of blockchain in there. Um, Yeah, and I mean, I think unlike many other games out there, we're not purely and only interested in NFTs.
Mm,
Of course, they're important, but the most important thing is having a solid, deep, sophisticated gameplay and lore to sustain the massive metaverse we're building for decades. And so that's what we're excited the most about.
mm.
And then, of course, integrating the community by using blockchain via DAO mechanisms and governance token mechanics.
Understood. So far, I've heard a lot about how the story, the lore is very interesting. So I've actually read through the white paper very briefly,
Uh-huh.
but a big chunk of it actually has to do with the lore and explaining the factions, explaining the different races and all that. How much of it was kind of how has the game been developed for a long time, and how much of that has actually been devoted to the lore?
Yeah. Um, so interesting. We actually started this project 6 years ago in
Wow,
under different formats, and but we've been experimenting with this story for a while. So the lore definitely had time to brew.
I see.
The and the I think there are two things why our lore, the story in our game is so important. One is we're all hardcore gamers, right? We love games. And when we look at all the games we like, even though sometimes it's not on the forefront, um, the games I love, and I wonder how it is, if it is for everyone, but it seems like within our team, it's for everyone, that they all have this deep lore. There's a deep story behind it where as you play the game, you kind of get captured by it and then you feel more immersed in the game. So
Mm,
we knew from the get-go how important that was, to have a good lore. And I would say the second important part is our CEO Erkan, and he's also the game director.
mm.
He's great at at least I don't know if he would call himself this, but in my eyes, he's also a writer, so he's able to produce a
Mm.
lot of stories and game within this. So it's been fun to have a really good lore to base the game on.
I see, I see. And about blockchain technology and how the community is sort of is has a collaborative kind of relationship with the devs in terms of developing this game. How does blockchain? Maybe you can speak a bit towards how blockchain technology kind of enables that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think, from the get-go, I mean, personally, I've been excited about blockchain for some time in games, not necessarily from the crypto angle. I know a lot of people are more excited about that, and that's good too. But my personal view has always been blockchain provided some, ownership to players around their characters and objects, and I think I heard I think maybe Vitalik, the Ethereum's creator, talk about this, that one of his inspirations in creating Ethereum, and, check me on this, but was that he was playing Warcraft, I think, and he lost his character that he's been building for a long time.
Yes,
And
I
he
heard
started,
this as well. I heard this as well. I think it was his it was the Warlock class. It got nerfed or something. He was very unhappy about that.
yeah, exactly. So, that's a great example of like how the ownership in the game is
Mm,
so important, because you put so much, like the player puts so much effort into it. They deserve to have more ownership than just somebody just flicking a switch and then you no longer have it,
yep.
There's that aspect. And then, of course, there's also, it's just fair to be able to, if you want to, turn that into monetary means. Um, but also, just as important, and maybe it's more important in a game like ours, is that blockchain technologies enable mechanisms for people to, vote and direct the game in ways that they can communicate clearly and in a secure way to the makers of the game, and
Yep.
then we can make adjustments based on that, and that's also goes back and ties back to the lore and how we can develop the lore in that sense.
Mm,
Um,
very cool.
yeah.
Okay. What about blockchain in terms of how it helps the players, um so I guess I'm talking a bit more towards the content creation part of the technology. How does it enable the players to kind of create content?
Yeah, I think, I mean, in the beginning, in all reality, it will start off as, a lot of NFTs, and, a lot of the content will be provided to the players. But
Mm,
as the game keeps developing, as we start releasing more and more, it will become obvious what we are focused on in the long term, which is giving people an ability to craft, to
mm,
people ability to create things in the game. And so, like I mentioned, character is one aspect of it, but they'll be able to create simple and complex objects, and they'll be able to actually utilize them in the game, as well as be able to trade those.
mm.
Without blockchain, that would be a lot harder. I mean, you can do the crafting part of it, but to be able, trading
Yep.
um, and especially if you're doing, certain objects might require teams to be able to create, and
Mm,
a lot of that is in development. I can't give too much away, but yeah, it will allow people um, to create things in the game, and that's, they will be NFTs basically.
mm. Very cool.
Yeah.
Um, I guess the next thing I want to really ask about is a little bit more about Angelic's team. So I understand the team is highly experienced. This is a very ambitious project, it sounds like, and it must be an equally ambitious and driven team behind it. Maybe you can speak a bit more about that.
Yeah. Um, I mean, in all reality, that is probably the most exciting thing for us, to have a team like we have, especially because we don't have a big story, right? When Blizzard makes another game, or I don't know, they're kind of fading out, but one of the companies we all love makes another game, it's easy to jump in because they make good games, and they already have that initial boost. In our case, our initial boost is basically our team. We wanted to gather a team of veterans who have done all that. And so, our team consists of multiple veterans with massive combined experience. They all have, I mean, many of them have multiple AAA game launches with significant publishing and support experience as well. To tens of millions of users. think we calculated, this is estimate, but more than 100 million players have enjoyed our games, if you look at all the team members and games they worked on. So, they worked on companies like Ubisoft, Microsoft, um, Bungie, all a lot of the big names, as well as some, we have a blockchain team, and as well as Huobi and some other crypto related companies. So yeah, we have a really good team in place. And maybe I should mention a couple of the names. We're an independent game development company, and we're using a remote working, utilizing remote working, and with we as we all know, with pandemic, it became obvious that it works fine, and
Mm,
so and it worked to our advantage. So we have a very international team.
mm-hmm,
Um, like our CEO, I mentioned, Erkan is he's the founder and the game director, and he found he had this Seirot Game Studios. He's developed 10 titles so far. And he's also worked with Crytek as a publishing producer and director of game operations. And we all know Crytek. Um, and Petar Kotevsky is our technical director, and he's another industry veteran at our team. He was the lead programmer of the original Far Cry and at Crytek. And he's also worked at Genuine Games, LLC, which has like 50 Cent Bulletproof, and Bungie with Halo 3.
mm.
Um, yeah, the list goes on. Emek Özben is our art director. Um, Emre Aktuna is lead environment concept artist. Yeah, not to get into the whole list because we're now, we're constantly growing, and we're almost 70 people now. So um, I'll spare you going through the whole list, but yeah, we have a really good team.
Very nice. And I'm sure, at this point there must be some things we can show our audience, some high quality visuals we can show our audience.
Yeah.
We
Um,
actually have two of that, I think. Let's put that up.
okay. Yeah. So this is our mobile array, and if you look in the details, as they say, the devil is in the details. I mean, we're competing with the best games to make, to try to make even a better looking game than anyone. And of
Mm,
course, that's a battle hard to win, but at least we're shooting for the stars for sure. And as you can see, the quality in these, that was our, that's an object from our game. It's a spaceship, and when you look into the details, every detail is worked on, and we'll have a lot more of that, which we'll reveal. Um, and the next one is probably it's one of our heroes, and that's basically what it's going to look in game. Um,
this one here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's just I mean, for those who have the eyes for 3D in games, you can tell, we're definitely bringing out, AAA quality, and
Mm.
yeah, anything from the skin to the muscle tones to, as you look at the dress and the, you know, horns and nails. And this is like, we've gone through so many uh, iterations of this. This is like the fourth or fifth iteration of what this character looks like. Uh, Only because we have such high standards, we just wanted to keep improving it. And now
Mm.
that got the standard, it will show on uh, every other hero.
That looks amazing. That looks amazing.
Thanks.
Okay, so how far along are we? Is Angelic in terms of the game development and what can we expect in the coming months or weeks?
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, not too much in the coming weeks, but in the next few months, we'll be releasing a smaller portion of the game, let's just say, and
Okay.
the exact date for that is not set, but it will definitely be in the next few months. Um, and then from there on, this is the kind of game I think we'll be developing for years to come. I mean, I
Hmm.
think once we release the small chunk, then the actual the bigger gameplay will probably take us another year to fully release, and if not a little bit longer. And then and like I said, from there on, we just keep working with the community, and we just keep going. So that's our hope, and that's what we're planning to do.
I see. Sounds cool. Okay.
Yeah.
At this point, we come to the halfway point. Let's do a raffle. Uh, we can do two raffles right now. Okay, so those in the audience, make sure you are eligible for this. You have to type in the code. Okay, first winner, George Michael, um, the secular, I guess. Congratulations, you're the first winner. Okay, let's go for the second one. Red Hisia, congratulations, you are the second winner. Let's go for a third one as well, actually, okay? And then we'll leave the last two for the end of the session. Let's go for a third one. So guys, all the winners here, you would win tokens, okay? The Angel token. And third winner, we've got Marks 14. Congratulations, you have yourself some tokens. Yep. Okay, so there you have your three winners. Thank you, guys. We've got two more to give away, okay, at the end of the session. Cool, thank you. So now the next second half of this, bit more meta, kind of bigger picture questions, I suppose. So what is your view or Angelic's view on the current state of the crypto industry, and what is your kind of approach, if it has changed, before this or after this? What has changed?
Yeah. Boy, that's a big subject to tackle, but yeah, I'll share my thoughts. I think, where do I start? I think the main thing that I would say is before, when you look at before the whole crypto crash or whatever we're calling it these days, it's kind of recovering now. But before we have seen the downcline, let's say, um, we already knew there was something wrong, because you can see two things that was happening in the game industry. One is people who are into making games, like a lot of the big studios, people who make really good games. If you notice, they have not bought into the blockchain. They
Mm,
don't. There are hardly any of them making blockchains, and if you talk to them, they're not really into blockchain.
mm,
So that's one sign to look at. It's like, then one has to wonder why, right?
mm,
And then I think part of the why, and the second thing is, we've been seeing a lot of games coming into the blockchain market that were really based on making money, right?
mm,
It was more like I know it's paid to earn, but that was the sole purpose of the game almost. I mean, maybe not the sole purpose, but 80% of the goal was that, and then 20% was to, like, hey, let's make something kind of fun to play.
mm,
Um, so, and we've seen that, and that's, there was a couple of things. One is, and I think many of us from the game industry kind of look at that, is like, it just doesn't seem sustainable to do that, because what makes a good game is that a game needs to be, addictive, it needs to be immersive, it needs to be fun, right? At the end
mm.
of it needs to be really fun.
Yep.
Whether you make money with it or not, it should be almost a secondary, or at least a parallel thing,
Mm,
it's not the main goal. And we have seen that a lot of games hitting that mark, even games who got a lot of investment and they were working on it. And part of it, I mean, I'm glad we talked about the team at first, but if you look at our team and you look at some of the games that came out, and this is not I'm not trying to say anybody did anything bad. This is not, some attack on other games. I'm just saying, from a data standpoint, when you
mm,
look at it, they weren't very immersive. If you look at the stats of them, some of them hung in there because there was a lot of opportunity to make money with them. So there's that piece. But even that became an issue because even when the game mechanics are just based on that, then the entry point becomes huge. Then you have to
Mm,
have like thousands of dollars for some games to even start playing them. Um, it just, yeah, the dynamics weren't figured out. What makes a fun game, the dynamics of that, I'm not going to say they're ever figured out because it's always an art to it. But that's been happening for so many decades that we have an idea of what makes a game fun.
mm,
So that's the before, we're like, okay, we already knew that problem. We're like, there's this happening. And when we positioned ourselves to go forward, we didn't want to do that. We wanted to make a game that's really fun. We wanted to make a game that's super immersive. And even the way we got investment, talking to our investors, was look, we're in this for the long term. Like, this
mm,
is a long term project. We want to make a really fun game. Yes, people will be able to utilize blockchain, they'll be able to trade crypto, but that's not going to ever be the thing that drives the game. The thing that drives the game will be how to make a fun game. And so, and because of that, there were a few people who were like, we're not really interested in that. We want just like pure play to earn game. And funny thing is, some of those investors hurt the most out of this whole thing. So, but other investors were like, that's exactly what we're looking for because we see those same problems in the industry. So that was one piece that was happening, and then in general, the entire, the crypto market, and then along with that, the blockchain games, and everybody got hit. Um, so that happened for so many reasons. It's not just because of the things I talked about, but with that, I think what we're seeing is that there's a clearing of the field, right? There's
mm.
almost like somebody came and like dropped a bomb, and then the
Yes.
field kind of cleared, and so what that's going to probably do is that longer term projects, and I mean, obviously this is our hope, but I think it's a good assessment to say that long term projects who have good food holdings and good teams and with already some investment under their belt like us will be able to survive the waves.
Yep.
And then when the waves are gone, the market will be, I think, a lot cleaner and clearer to be able to enter with better games and better yeah, just better games, I think, in my view. Um,
Yep.
yeah, that's kind of our view, and I think that and I think once a couple of people make some of these blockchain games that are actually really fun and playable, we'll see more of the bigger studios actually coming in and jumping into the field as well.
Yep. You're kind of legitimize the whole space, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and in terms of adoption, do you see a difference in the way, let's say, marketing, for example? Do you see a difference in the way that, a traditional game would approach this versus a Web3 game?
I mean, when you say adoption, can you tell me what you mean by that? A couple of people use that in different terms.
Yes, so I think meaning how do you get players in? Specifically, how do you get traditional players that play traditional games, for them to take the
Mhm.
leap into Web3 space and play blockchain games?
Yeah, yeah. So there are a couple of things there. One is we've always had the goal of we have got to make the entry easy, right? I mean, I both easy to use and so we don't have to drive them crazy with setting up 3 wallets and this and that, but
Yeah.
also also in the sense that they don't need a lot of money to play our game.
Mm,
In fact, in order for Angelic to be playable to somebody, they don't even have to have anything to do with blockchain. They can start playing the game and not even touch the blockchain and still enjoy the game to a certain extent, to a
mm,
good extent. It has a single player ability as well. So if they just want to kind of enjoy the narrative and play the game and have fun, they can totally do that. So in that sense, we want to keep the entry barrier totally low and
mm,
maybe totally transparent to come into the game. And then yeah, the second thing is once people are in the game, the way we are setting up our mechanics, I mentioned this a little bit earlier with other games. For example, creating NFTs that are only achievable if you have so much money. We want to avoid that. We don't want to have. We've seen this with free to play games, right?
mm,
There are some free to play games you can play to a certain extent. Then you have to spend so much money to actually really get farther and to be able to enjoy the game.
Yep.
That's not, we don't want to do that. We
Mm.
want to make it so that that's why it's a long-term project, and there'll be a little bit of that because it's just natural that somebody who puts in the effort and along with wanting to spend some money, they'll probably be able to do some special things, but it should never be so much that it will alienate anybody who doesn't want to spend that much money.
Yep.
So keeping that balance is super important to us, because keeping the community is super important to us. And, we don't want to differentiate the community just because some people have more money necessarily.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
That sounds
And,
awesome. Yeah, I think one of the games that kind of pops out in my head when you talk about that kind of paywall, so to speak, would be Diablo Immortal. If you played that one, but that's one
yeah.
that comes up a lot, and I think maybe one of the ones that strike that balance well, at least from a player perspective, a player experience wise, is Lost Ark. It
Mhm.
feels like it's never a pay to win thing, but it does help a lot, in terms of reducing the grind. I think that's
Yeah.
a really nice way to go about it as well. Um, yeah, that's a very cool idea. Okay, interesting. All
Yeah.
right, so I think with that, we've kind of covered most of the topics. Is there anything else you wanted to add to speak to the community about in terms of anything with regards to Angelic?
Yeah, personally, I don't. Um, yeah, I don't have a lot to share. Those were really good questions, and I think we covered a lot.
That's cool.
Thanks again for having me.
Yep. What about some questions from the ground? Do we have some questions from the ground?
Oh yeah.
If you spot anything interesting, feel free to just scroll through real quick. Okay, maybe let's take this one from. So he's talking a bit. Might be a bit early to speak about this at this point. But I think from Hermawan, he's asking, or he or she. Sorry, I can't quite tell. But he's asking about the ways to generate profit or revenue to maintain a project. So I think he's talking about what ways does Angelic generate profit or revenue to maintain uh revenue?
Yeah. So I think, like I mentioned, I mean, all the things I said aside, right? It's gonna, what our focus is. I think is clear now that we want to make a fun game more than anything else. We're still making a blockchain game, so that's
Mm.
another amazing opportunity we're given that we can actually find monetization methods within the trading of the objects in the game, and we can find monetization methods of if they're going to be traded outside the game. Um, there's going to be our token, which will have its own value, and there's the value of the uh, angel token itself, which we're giving away some today, right?
Yes.
So hopefully that's going to keep increasing. I mean, that's what we're in this for. So those are some of them. Also, it's not 100% set, but 90% there that we're going to have an initial fee to buy the game. It's not going to be just a free game.
I
So
see.
we're just going to, for the reason I said, because we don't want to tie everything to blockchain that uh, somebody can just simply have a, sorry, my frame rate was dropping. I think I got it back. So
Yes.
somebody
Yes.
can simply have simply buy the game and just be able to play the game, and they don't have to deal with anything blockchain. So those are some of the methods that comes to mind. But like you said, it is pretty early to figure all it out.
Yep. And I think that reminds me actually. Angelic is launching on Steam, is it not?
Well, initially, our demo was launched in Steam, um, and w- depending on what blockchain games, as you know, are not adapted there so much as well. So
Yep.
It's going to depend a little bit by the time we're releasing it, who will have us, in that sense. So where we're going to release is not 100% clear because of that. I mean, we're
I see.
clear, but depending on, for example, if Steam makes blockchain games more available, um, yeah. So where we're going to launch the game is, but eventually, hopefully, our goal is definitely to be in as many platforms as we can.
Right, right. Awesome. Okay, one more question then. So Mohammed is asking a bit about NFTs and the utility around NFTs. I'm not sure if it's too early to ask this, but maybe you can speak a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, um, again, we're still in development and this will keep improving and changing. But like I mentioned, there are a few ways you can have NFTs. One is, for example, the character we showed, Odil, she will have, you'll be able to have different skins for her. So characters are really big in our game. And to be able to have skins for characters will be a big deal. And those skins are NFTs that you'll be able, a lot of them. Some will be free, but some will be you can buy or you can earn in the game. And that's an example of that. And that's going to apply to objects as well, right? You might have a gun, a certain part of the gun we will be able to add to. So I think NFTs are going to be a huge part of this game. And both from some of the things I talked earlier, from the point of ownership, we want to give people the ownership of the
Mm,
objects that they're dealing with in the game, but also because it's part of the trading system in the game. So yeah.
awesome. Okay. I think with that we can kind of conclude everything so far. Yes, let me just real quick scroll through this, see if there's any more interesting questions. Yep, so I think we answered most of everything. For those who've asked questions, actually some of these things have been covered earlier. So if you tuned in late, revisit the recording again once we post it. Cool. Okay. Thank you, Farhad, again for your time. I know it's really
Mhm.
early where you are right now. Thank you for taking some time to speak with us and share with our community about your amazing project.
Yeah,
Yeah,
happy to.
hope to speak again soon. If we have updates, guys, we'll make sure to talk about that. Oh, actually, I must have forgotten. Did we have another giveaway? We had two more, was it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, guys. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the raffle for the last two. Okay, the fourth winner. DKEY. I won't pronounce that one. But you are the fourth winner for the Angel token giveaway. Congratulations. And the fifth one, let's go. It's Adams Hiroshi. Congratulations. You are the fifth and last winner for our giveaway tonight. Congratulations. Cool. Awesome. So congratulations again to our 5 winners for the giveaway. And your tokens, the instructions will be given out later on how that will be dispersed to you guys. But yes, thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Farhad, for your time. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.